And there we are. And we're back. We did leave because clearly I'm not too good at this whole weekly schedule. Which we might talk about that this time around. I might be doing instead of weekly, maybe like bi-weekly on the show instead of the way I've been trying to do it, because clearly it doesn't work out too well every time. But it's all right. We'll get that figured out. We'll see what we can do. I'm gonna try to start posting more shorts, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. Like if I make an actual like regular length YouTube video, and if I do that, then or when I figure out what I want to do, how I want to do that, then you'll see it on the channel. But anyway, I'm back. I tried to do this last week. It didn't work out. There was a issue involving some less than savory insects, and we'll leave it at that. That I had to deal with, but I'm here right now, and hopefully I can get a better schedule that works better for me, so that I can actually get stuff out there for the two of you that watch this. And hopefully get more than two of you eventually. Anyway, so a couple of things I want to touch on since the last time I was on. One, adjust that a little bit. Is it just me, or did my camera quality get worse? I really hope that's just me. Oh, that helped a little bit. Anyway, so I guess the biggest thing that I've been into, or that's happened in the 2 weeks since my last episode, was well, okay, we'll start with the second biggest thing. That whole that hashtag real archaeology thing. You may have seen the short I posted a couple of days ago about that. I actually don't even know what the views on that were. Probably not great, but for those of you who didn't see it, it was a kind of like internet-wide event that was co-hosted by Dr. Flint Dibble and oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name now. This is a PhD candidate, JT. His name's JT, and I can't remember his last name now. Hold on, let me look that up real quick. Because he is also very knowledgeable in 21st century archaeology, because he's a 21st century archaeologist. But anyway, it was a whole thing where Dr. Dibble and Mr. JT, yeah, I can't find his last name. Anyway, his YouTube channel is Actual Archaeology with JT. Regardless, they had this whole thing where they were posting. They had live streams all this past weekend. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They had live streams talking about that kind of archaeology and such, and they had all kinds of scholars and science communicators and just content creators making videos and blog posts and Twitter threads and other such stuff. Just all across the internet. They had a website. If you go and look at the short I made the other day, I think I posted it Saturday. I put the I linked both of their YouTube channels in the description of that short. And they have a website that listed everything that that was posted as part of the event, and all of that stuff is still there. You can still go watch the live streams and read the papers and whatnot. It's all really interesting stuff. And it was like 60 different creators and scholars and whatnot. So it's a lot of content to consume, which I've made my way through a decent bit of it, but I'm only like a quarter of the way through, if that. But anyway, it's just a lot of really cool people talking about really cool stuff, and you should definitely check that out. So that was the second biggest thing. Oh, Dr. Dibble actually commented on that short, just saying thank you, I guess, for I suppose for putting the word out there. That was a bit of a moment for me. Guy's become something of a hero of mine in a very short amount of time. The other thing that happened in the last couple of weeks was Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Dude, okay. I wanted to play that game so bad. And I'm a broke bitch, so I couldn't until like not even a week ago. It's so good. It's so good. If you played the any of the Budokai Tenkaichi games or anything like related to that, like the Raging Blast games back on the PS3 and 360, it's that, but like scaled significantly up because it's got all the Dragon Ball Super characters, and it's got a bunch of GT stuff that wasn't in Raging Blast. At least there's a lot of GT in Tenkaichi 3, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, pardon me, Jesus. But anyway, it's that, but like scaled up significantly. Like it's so much faster. It's so much more technical. It is one of the most technical fighting games I've ever played and been good at. Like it feels like a 3D, like a 3-dimensional sort of open arena version of like a Marvel versus Capcom. Like that's the kind of speed that we're talking about. The speed and technical aspects of it is not something that I'm totally used to because I don't play a lot of like honestly, I don't play a lot of Japanese fighting games, and they're the ones who really make the technical stuff, like Street Fighter, and I hesitate to say Tekken and Soul Calibur, but they're a little more technical than your Mortal Kombats or actually really just Mortal Kombat. That's mostly what I play these days in terms of fighting games. I used to play a lot of Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom and stuff, but not as much anymore, other than the Arcade Fighter collection that just came out a few weeks ago. That was I was very happy to play that. That was fun. But yeah, just like the character selection is nuts, and of course they're adding more with DLC because it's 2024 and that's what we do and have been doing for the last 15 years. There's the it's crazy. Like the first time I played it, I was genuinely like holding the controller, playing the game. My hands hurt, and occasionally they still do if I don't play for a minute, and then I go and pick it up and play it and get into like a ranked match or play one of the story mode bosses or something. My hands start to ache because you're using every single button on that controller, and you have to do it so quickly and time it so perfectly for so many things that you do in that game. It's crazy. It's insane. But it's so fun. It is so incredibly fun. But yeah, definitely check it out. The what ifs are a lot of fun. Like, if you defeat a character within so for the fights, where in the anime or the actual story, the manga, whatever, like with the fight against Raditz, like if Goku loses in the anime, or I guess he didn't lose, but you know what I mean. The game puts you on a timer, so you just have to like survive the fight for a certain amount of time. But if you're fast enough and you defeat the enemy that you're fighting, like for instance Raditz, if you beat Raditz instead of just surviving the fight, then it's like, what if Goku and Piccolo actually beat Raditz and Goku didn't die fighting him? And then, Vegeta and Nappa show up and it changes. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's interested, but it just changes the scenario and like the saga as a whole, going, from that point forward. And then you can just like beat different enemies before they were beaten in the anime. So like beat Cell before he achieves perfect form, and by Cell, and it goes back to dealing with the androids. Or say if you happen to defeat Cell during him and Goku's fight during the Cell games, then Gohan never fights him. So it's just not as big of a deal as everybody thought it was. And the same thing with Frieza and Boo, and it's just really fun. It's cool ideas. Some of them are just like, oh, we won early, and it's not super compelling. But some of them, like, they go on entire branching paths besides what actually happened, and that's really cool. I really enjoy those. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun to play. The only real problem I have is that for like if you want to do couch co-op, like offline co-op with like a buddy, you can't do that in any stage except the hyperbolic time chamber. And that is the only thing you can do is versus. Like you can do versus battle with your buddy in the hyperbolic time chamber, and that's it. Like you can't go to any other stage. You can't do like the tournament mode. You can have offline tournaments, but not co-op offline, which is annoying as hell. You can do like actually no, that's it. That's the only multiplayer you have offline. It's really annoying because like back in the day playing Budokai Tenkaichi and Raging Blast, that was some of the most fun I've ever had playing a video game with friends or family or whatever. It was like my brothers and my cousins. We played the hell out of that game, especially Raging Blast. I can't remember which one we played more of, the first or second Raging Blast, but either way, we played the hell out of both of them. And that was just so much fun, and it's kind of lame that the only way to reenact any of that is just in a blank white space. It's kind of annoying, but that's just how things are these days. They want to incentivize online play for some reason. I don't totally understand why that's such a big deal, why it's so incentivized, other than like I guess they profit somehow off of playtime on their servers, maybe. I don't actually understand that. I'll look into that, but yeah, online play is heavily incentivized, and that's kind of annoying, but whatever. That's about all I gotta say about that. I still haven't watched Penguin. I got the first episode, and that's it. I have not watched the second episode or any after that yet, and it kind of sucks, but it's where we are. I have been able to keep up with Agatha all along, though, which is just because it's so much more digestible and easier to grab, and also I think my wife is enjoying it more, so that's what we get to watch. And honestly, it is insane how good that show is. Like, I don't understand why. It seems so far the shows that I have been the most like whatever on, like obviously, like I'm one who's excited for any Marvel stuff really, but there are things where I'm just less excited for them. So like when that first slate was coming out, it was WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and What If. Like the one that I was least excited for, Loki, was the best one and is still to this day the best Marvel Studios series on Disney Plus. Like by a decent bit. And I mean I could say the same for WandaVision. Like I wasn't that excited for WandaVision. And then it was fantastic. Granted, the one I was excited for, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was also fantastic. But my point is, like, it's the ones I've been looking forward to the most, like, or that I wasn't looking forward to, like Agatha All Along or She-Hulk, which I know that's a bear trap in itself. But I really enjoyed She-Hulk from like day one. Like I remember watching the first episode, I was like, oh, I'm gonna really enjoy this, and I did. And then the Werewolf by Night. Like, who expected that to be good? But it was fantastic. It was the most violent thing Marvel's done up to that point. Obviously until Deadpool and Wolverine, but sorry, I got something stuck to the bottom of my foot and it will not come off. But the yeah, it was just like, who expected that to be as good as it was? Because I didn't. And then I watched it and I was like, wow, this is like one of the best things that they've done in recent memory, at least on Disney Plus. And then you can say the same thing for Agatha All Along, because like the whole time in the lead up to this show, everyone was like, "Who asked for this? Who wants this? Why are they like it?" People were taking it as evidence of Marvel like running out of ideas. And then it comes out and it's one of the best things that they've done so far. Like I was not expecting that. I'm not mad about it at all. I'll tell you that. But it is a little wild that this show of all shows is one that is just that much more enjoyable. Like it's just really good. It's just good. Like it's funny. It's got that that kind of hocus pocusy vibe to it, like that kind of spooky Halloweeny vibe. All of the actors are putting in, like, giving it their A game. Catherine Hahn is just as good as always. Aubrey Plaza is just as good as always. And the kid playing Teen, whose name I always forget, but apparently he's got like one other credit as an actor, and he's fantastic. Like he's really killing it. I think it's like John Locke or something like it's something Locke. But he's really good. I'm really enjoying him. And those of you who've seen it know who he ends up being. And honestly, most of you probably know who he is anyway, but not John Locke. Are you kidding me? His name is Locke, but John Locke he was a political activist from like 200 years ago. But anyway, the guy's good. The show overall is great. It looks great because they're not doing a Joe Locke. That's his name, Joe Locke. Because they don't do anything crazy. Like there's a lot of practical, like makeup and sets that you can tell are practical. CGI is obviously used, but it's not like overbearing where everything in the environment is obviously computer generated. It's just it's a good watch. It's really fun. It's really funny. is really, really fucking cool sometimes. And honest, like the biggest thing is just the atmosphere of it that I'm just really enjoying. So I definitely recommend it if anybody's on the fence, or even if you're not and you just weren't interested. Check it out. It's really good. Sorry, I had to refuel a little bit. What else should I talk about? I really should plan these things out. I've been thinking about segments I could do, but that feels like, I don't know, that feels a little overproduced for me. But then again, I'm talking about doing all this other stuff, so maybe I should. Maybe that'll give me some practice in staying on topic. Because as it is, I'm kind of just like, I come down here, I turn on the camera, and just start blabbing about whatever comes to my mind. And I guess that there are lots of other podcasts like that, but most of those involve like more than one person. And I am one person and not a particularly thrilling one at that. But it's fine. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I rewatched Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio the other day. If you've never seen that, it's on Netflix and it's really, really freaking good. It hurts at the end. It hurts a lot, like a whole lot. But it's got Ewan McGregor as Jiminy. It's got I think Ron Perlman is in it. Christoph Waltz is in it. Who else was in that movie? Dude that played Filch in Harry Potter is in it. Oh yeah, Kate Blanchett is a monkey with no speaking lines. She just makes monkey noises the whole time. Oh yeah, Tilda Swinton is in it. Finn Wolfhard is in it. Tim Blake Nelson, John Turturro. It's pretty stacked. It's a pretty stacked cast. The kid voicing Pinocchio, Gregory Mann. I don't know of anything else that he's been in, but he's really good. Actually, it doesn't look like he's been in anything else. Oh yeah, okay. He was in a couple of British shows. But in Pinocchio, he's really, really good. Like, that kid's got a lot of range in his voice. Season 2 of Jurassic World Chaos Theory came out. I forgot about that. That's been really good. We're about halfway through it, I think, because like we watch it when we get a chance to. Which, if you haven't seen the first season, that's fantastic. And if you haven't seen Camp Cretaceous, that's also fantastic. You should watch them both. But this new season has been pretty wild. There was a dinosaur versus hippo fight that was pretty crazy, which isn't something that I expected to see when I started watching that. But I'm not mad that I saw it because it was really cool and kind of funny. Hippos are terrifying, dude. Like to think about the fact that, and it is a fact, like a hippo, as big as it is, as strong, and as fast and aggressive as those things are, they could definitely take on a dinosaur, depending on which dinosaur it was, which this one was a Suchomimus. Definitely could have taken a Suchomimus. It was a crazy fight. But just the fact that it could stand up to a dinosaur is crazy to me. like because it could, and it in the show it did. But hippos are scary, dude. They're so scary because they're so fast. Like nothing that big should be that fast, but they are. They're so fast, especially in the water. It's crazy, and they want to kill you. Like hippos kill more people annually than in Africa, at least, than any other animal. Um, which is crazy because they have like lions and leopards and ostriches and hyenas and like actually no, I don't think they have. They might have wild dogs. Yeah, they have jackals. They have jackals. And that's to say nothing about like the snakes and other venomous animals. And rhinos. Yeah, rhinos, elephants. Because like all of those things kill people, but a hippo kills more than any of them, like by a pretty wide margin, which is insane to think about. Because like it's pretty common knowledge, I feel like. But if you go to Africa, like the first thing in your mind isn't, oh, these hippos are gonna kill me. It's like, no, there's lions here, and like, and hyenas and like pirates and stuff. You're not thinking about hippos, and yet they're the ones that are statistically the most likely to kill you. I just think that's crazy. That's wild to me. And really funny and terrifying all at once. Um, God, I'm rambling about hippos. That's where the show is right now. That's where we're at. Hippos. I have to talk about some cool stuff that's coming out next year. We got some looks at a bunch of Disney Plus stuff for Marvel that's coming out next year. We got new look at Daredevil Born Again, which I'm so stoked for because the original series on Netflix is my favorite TV show of all time. I know, whatever. Leave me alone. It's just that good. We got a new look at Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which has changed its title like 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. And nobody's really known what that show even is for like. I think it was originally announced in like 2019, right? Marvel Zombies we got to look at, which that looks cool. I'm pretty excited for that one. Wonder Man, we finally saw something for that. Of course, Trevor's in it because Wonder Man's an actor, so obviously Trevor has to be involved. What else was on there? Obviously, it was like also showing Deadpool and Wolverine coming. Hold on, let me look. What If Season 3? I think that was the other one. Oh, hey, nice. What is? Oh, hey, what up? I haven't seen that guy post anything in a long time. Marvel Studios. Oh, Eyes of Wakanda. That's the other one, and that. And Ironheart. Ironheart also looks cool. I know not a lot of people are excited for that. I am, but it's also probably the one I'm least looking forward to of this list, if I'm being honest. But Eyes of Wakanda looks awesome. Just the little glimpse that we caught in the trailer or the little teaser thing was it looked really cool. It reminded me of the first thing that popped in my head was Star Wars Visions, which I guess is kind of What If was kind of already doing that, but without all the different art styles. But that's kind of what I got from the Eyes of Wakanda thing. goodness. But yeah, that looks like it's going to be really fun, really interesting. And then obviously, as far as movies, we got Captain America: Brave New World, which I'm really excited for. Got some looks at Joaquin Torres as the Falcon, which I'll just say that the costume design in this movie is so much better than the one in the comics. I don't know. I imagine most people don't even know who Joaquin Torres is. I didn't know who Joaquin Torres was until like I don't know. It was like a year before Falcon and Winter Soldier came out because I knew who he was when he showed up in Falcon and Winter Soldier. But I think I just heard of him in a like a YouTube video or something at some point. I've never read anything with him in it that I can remember anyway. I don't know anything about him other than what was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. But yeah, his costume as Falcon in the comics, not amazing. He's also like legit like a Birdman. Like his wings are part of him, and he has like weird bird feet and big eyes. He just looks weird. I think he might be a mutant. Actually, I don't know what his deal is, but I just know that his costume's not great. Because it's like this weird green, like it's like weird green and brown, and it is in the movie too. But the way that they designed it, it just looks like tactical, and that color palette works better for like a tactical outfit as opposed to like a superhero tights outfit. And it also is really reminiscent of Sam's costume from like his original days, like the white and red one with the giant V coming all the way down here and the open arms with the cut down the side. It's like that looked all right back then on Sam in the red and white, but in for modern sensibilities, especially when you add like the extra texturing, like the piping on the sides and stuff, it just doesn't look great on Joaquin, and in that color palette either. But it does look a lot better in the movie. I'll say that. Red Hulk looks cool. He looks like Hulk but red, and like Harrison Ford. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. It's kind of crazy to me that Red Hulk and the Leader are going to be villains in a Captain America movie, but I mean, I'm not mad about it. Because it's kind of gotten to the point where in these movies and shows where like it really is just like the comic world, because one of the example I always use is Guardian Devil by Kevin Smith and Joe Quesada. Like that's one of the all-time Daredevil stories. Like one of the biggest deaths in Daredevil comics, which if you read Daredevil, there's a lot of those. The death of Karen Page at the hands of Bullseye happened in Guardian Devil. And the main villain of that was Mysterio. And Mysterio died at the end of it. Like, blew his brains out with a shotgun. So it's like one of the defining stories for both of those characters. And they weren't fighting, like, Mysterio's not a Daredevil villain. To my knowledge, they've never really fought since. Not as in as substantial a way as they did in that. But like having Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, as the villain of Multiverse of Madness, having um, like the TVA and Cassandra Nova being the villain of Deadpool and Wolverine, having Red Hulk and the Leader as the villains of a Captain America movie. I think that's pretty neat. It's just like that's one of the things that's one of my biggest defenses for the MCU as it is right now, is that it's just become the comics. Like it's just the comics now, and like I understand the drawbacks to that. Um, like that's not lost on me because people who don't read comics, they're not going to keep up with it the same way as people who do, and a lot of people who do read comics aren't into it because it's not the comics. They change stuff, and nerds and fans of things tend to get mad when you change stuff. Personally, I've never been one of those who's like I want it to be 100%, accurate. Um, like it's nice, it's cool when it happens, especially when it comes to like character designs and stuff, but I don't need it to be. As long as it works in context of the story that they're telling, I'm cool. Like I'm not bothered by it. Um, like for example, Tony Stark being the one to create Ultron, whereas in the comics it was Hank Pym. That doesn't bother me because it works well in the you know in the context of the movie, of the story that they were telling, and it set up Civil War, which set up Infinity War, which set up Endgame, and it's like it just worked. And like with and I know a lot of people disagree with me on this one, but like the MCU version of Spider-Man, I think it's just as valid as the regular Spider-Man because at the end of the day, he's still Spider-Man. He's still getting where he still ends up being who Spider-Man's supposed to be, even if it was like a longer journey for him than it normally would be, or than it was in the comics. And he had more, he had Tony, he had the Avengers from the beginning, where a comic Peter didn't, but he's still Spider-Man. He still ends up in the same place, still learns the same lesson. And I don't think that, a lot of people talk about how, he doesn't have any responsibility, but like, do you not watch the movies? Like the whole point of Homecoming was him having to learn that responsibility. Same thing with No Way Home or Far From Home. Him trying to escape it after being presented with the costs of it in Infinity War and Endgame. Dying, having your mentor die, watching people around you die, like, and then in Far From Home, he just wants a break because he's just a kid. Like, why wouldn't you? And he learns by the end of that, like, superheroes don't get breaks. And then he applies that lesson at the end of No Way Home after having to learn it again because he's a kid. And kids have to be taught the same lessons over and over and over again because that's how kids work. Or at least that's how every kid I've known works. It's how I worked. It's how my kids work. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the criticisms of the MCU post Endgame are unfair, and some of them are fair. Fair enough. Like the CG has not been great in a lot of them. It's gotten better, and it's still not like I feel like people vastly underestimate how much work it takes to create CG environments and characters and really CG anything. Like the effort that it requires to make that look even a little good is monumental. Like I'm not a VFX artist. I never will be. Partially because I know how difficult it is. just observationally, like just watching other people do it. Not interested. Um, but also like visuals, for me at least, aren't as important as the story that's being conveyed by them, if that makes sense. Because like I'll read a comic book with bad art. A lot of the time, it bugs the shit out of me. But I'll also like at the same time, I'll read a book just for the art. Like um, the newer the first thing that popped in my head was the newer Batman Spawn crossover. It wasn't great, but Greg Capullo was kicking all kinds of ass in that book. Same with All Star Batman and Robin. Frank Miller was shit in the bed that whole book, but Jim Lee was putting in the work, dude. Like that is one of the best looking books I've ever read, at least from Jim Lee. Which is saying a lot because he's one of my favorite artists, like top 3. But I'm losing the plot a little bit here. My point is, like, there are valid criticisms of a lot of the MCU stuff. Like, I understand people like where is it going? Like, what's the point? What's the overarching plot here? And if you're comparing it to the Infinity Saga, which fair play, it is the same. It's the second chapter of the same story. I get that, but at the same time, it's a new world now, and we still don't totally know what that world looks like. And admittedly, 6 years on, 5 years, 5 years on, yeah, maybe we should probably know more about the state of the world after post Endgame than we do. But at the same time, like I feel like people kind of forget what it was like during the Infinity Saga, like you know going like what it was like between right after the first Avengers movie. Like we got some setup with Iron Man, we got some setup with Captain America, Thor, but we didn't really get to know what the state of things was until Age of Ultron, and then that flipped it upside down again until Civil War. And like I don't know, I just feel like people are looking back on the Infinity Saga as if it was always like this big cohesive thing, and it wasn't like retroactively glued together, because like if you were paying attention at the time, which most people who pay attention now were, um a lot of that stuff didn't come together until much later. Like the name Infinity Stone wasn't mentioned until Dark World, I think. And that was halfway through phase 2. Like um at that point, and even at that point, we didn't know that we'd already seen 2 of them. Because we didn't know those things were Infinity Stones until later. So I feel like, and then of course, they didn't have uh, the multiple strikes and the pandemic and just everything else that's been going on in the world since 2019. All of like that affects everything. Like so many, the world has changed so much, especially in entertainment. Like it's just so much has changed. Like the mergers that have happened, is particularly the Marvel and Fox one. Um, it's a different landscape, so they're having to navigate different. They're navigating different waters now. And for me personally, I've looked at the last couple of projects, especially in Phase 4, as like groundwork, like world building. Like, um, so we had the Infinity Saga. That was much more of a linear path. This one is more branching. Like which I get, makes sense considering the whole multiverse thing, because it is the multiverse saga, but like, it's not. What am I trying to say here? It's more of a like putting the dot down and then branching out from there to show the rest of the world, not just what the main narrative is affecting. Does that make sense? Because it's like it's not set up for a future narrative. It's set up for the world of the Marvel Universe itself, like the MCU as a whole. And like there is obvious setup for a lot of future projects. Like I think it's pretty clear that the Ten Rings, Kamala's bangles, and what was the other thing? There was another thing too. No, I can't remember what it was. But I think it's pretty clear that those things have something to do with each other in some capacity. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that going forward. I think that's going to play a part in the overall saga. And I think that it's going to play out similarly to how the Infinity Stones did in the Infinity Saga, because they weren't a big deal at all to anybody until Infinity War. Like, the fact that they were Infinity Stones, with the one exception being the Collector, who was in one movie before Infinity War, his whole, what was it, 1 down, 5 to go thing at the end of Guardians, or in the middle of Guardians, whatever it was. He's the only one who cared about having Infinity Stones. The only one. And they were never talked about except in like after credit scenes until Infinity War. And I feel like people forget that. I feel like people think that it was like it was the Infinity Saga from the very beginning. And I don't, that didn't really come together until later. They didn't even call it the Infinity Saga until later, like significantly later. I think after Infinity War or after Endgame. Like it wasn't a saga until after the fact. So I don't know. I feel like that's one of those things where people are comparing it to what it used to be, like comparing it to what it was, and not judging it based on what it is. Which, if you don't like what it is, fair play. Like, that's fair. To each their own. But I also think that criticizing it for not being what came before is unfair. And then there's the matter of quality, and that's objective, or subjective rather. Like personally, I think that it's been, I don't want to not to quote Nice Pool here, but I think it's been up and down, but I don't think there's been anything outright bad. Matter of fact, I don't think that the MCU has put out anything outright bad. Like even going back to like the Dark World, that's my favorite Thor movie. Of all 4 of them, that one's my favorite. And I know I've gotten shit for it before. I know I'm going to here, if anyone even watches it. But I feel the same way about the Incredible Hulk. Like that's one of my favorites of the whole series of films. Like the Incredible Hulk is one of my favorite MCU movies. Just because it feels so Hulk to me, But yeah, I'm well aware that my opinions are not necessarily the consensus overall, and I'm cool with that. I don't have opinions so that other people can like them. I have opinions because I'm a human being, and we all have them. Granted, I have a platform that I can share them on, but that doesn't mean that it matters if people agree with me or not, you know? But yeah. But like honestly, like some of my favorite projects in the MCU as a whole have come since Endgame. Like Loki, No Way Home, Deadpool and Wolverine, Multiverse of Madness, which that's another one that gets a lot of flack. That one, I don't understand the hate for it. I think that's one of my favorite movies. I think it's in my top 10 of the MCU, just because it's so Sam Raimi in some places, and it's so creative with the magic of it, and of course the cameos are cool too. But like, that's not my favorite part of the movie, and I feel like so many people thought that it was just going to be this big cameo fest, and they thought that, oh, Multiverse of Madness, we're going to go to some crazy places, and like that one's probably the most fair criticism of it, I think. But even then, like, I feel like that's semantics, because like you're taking like the I think you're taking the title too literally in a way that it wasn't meant to be. Like the madness wasn't the multiverses that we go to; it was Wanda's madness. Like Wanda's madness was what led us to the multiverse in the first place in that movie. So I don't know. I feel like that movie gets way too much flack for way too little reason. Um, Wakanda Forever was brilliant. I love the first Black Panther, and I love that one just as much. Um, they're also both in my top 10. Um, Honestly, Moon Knight I really liked. I can't believe I didn't mention that yet. I really enjoyed Moon Knight, and Agatha All Along, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Um, there's just a lot of good stuff that's come out since Endgame, and not all of it has been necessarily MCU. Like X-Men '97 is the best thing that Marvel's put out in almost ever, if you ask me. Like since Marvel Studios has been a thing, X-Men '97 is like in the upper echelon of the things that they've made, that they've produced. It's God, it's so good. I might watch it again. Actually, I might start another rewatch. I've rewatched it like legitimately like 6 times. uh, it's just so good. I'm addicted. Oh, speaking of things I've rewatched ad nauseum, um, this is a total pivot, by the way. Has nothing to do with Marvel in the slightest, um, except that it involves Pedro Pascal. Um, I don't think I ever talked about the trailer, the official trailer for The Last of Us season 2. I'm not ready, dude. I'm not ready because the first season captured the first game so perfectly that if they keep that up for the second game, I'm gonna get hurt big time. And it looks like they are. Like based on the trailer, it just looks like the game. like uh and that's another thing that I think is very unfairly criticized, but I'm not even gonna get into that one. That's a whole nother thing that I do not have the time or energy to get into. You get me talking about The Last of Us, I'll talk for 3 hours. Especially if we're talking about part 2. God, I might rewatch that too. I'm watching too much, dude. I gotta finish Penguin first. I gotta finish Penguin first. I swear to God. And House of the Dragon. I never finished season 2 of House of the Dragon either. Damn it, dude. Anyway, well, I think I'm gonna wrap this here. Probably gonna just do a bi-weekly thing instead of a weekly. Like we'll do not next week, but the week after. So what is it? Not next Wednesday. 2 weeks from today will be the November 13th. So that's what we're going to try to do. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah. We'll just do a bi-weekly thing. Maybe I can do like a video or something and post it by then. Maybe. We'll see. I'll see what I can figure out. And if not, then I'll start doing shorts. Like I think when the second issue of Absolute Batman comes out, I'm gonna make a short talking about that. Just that series, because thus far it's been really good. That first issue was an absolute banger, as the kids say. But yeah, I'm gonna call it there. Thanks for watching, if you did, or if you do in the future after this is no longer live. And hopefully you'll come back next time. So thanks for coming, and see you later.